Boom! What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Mount Mograph. As always, my name's Matt, and in today's video, I just wanted to go over what's new and improved in Motion version 4.0.5 because this is actually a pretty cool update and one of the coolest ones we've had in a minute. If you've gone over to the tool screen here, we'll go take a look at the new category and just go over the new tools that synced out first. We have an emitter, which can generate and record particles, kinetic, which can trigger animation with velocity, and then snapshot. We'll wait for this. Oh, of course it didn't work. That would have been pretty sweet, but the tooltip here, it's a save current frame as image, and all of these are going to get more improved, but you have to release a build at some point. So I'm going to go ahead and click emitter here, and you can see I can draw on this little canvas area and make a bunch of particles in real time. The cool thing with any of these simulation tools is there's no keyframes, there's essentially no render time, and it's a very light asset to use in your project. Once again, we'll go on over to the new category and click emitter, and I'll just record and do a quick little performance of the emitter, and whenever I'm happy, I'm going to unclick again and then click stop recording and then add. Instantly we have this asset that we just made into our timeline. From here you could do all kinds of things with like enable time remapping, if you wanted a faster asset, or do any number of adjustments to use this effect for your project. Moving on, I'll give you a little tip. If you press tilde, which is the key under your escape key on your keyboard and next to the 1, you can maximize any of the panels that you're on in After Effects. So with that kind of hot tip, you can actually make the dimensions and recording space for the emitter quite larger. In the next build, we're going to definitely be able to maximize this like kind of canvas draw space more, but got to get a release out sometime and get to holiday. I'll go ahead and click record here, and we'll do a quick little demo just with these default properties, draw some particle animation, and then click stop recording and add. Before we close this kind of tilde maximized view, I'm going to click record again and just do another second performance of, some particle doing something, and then click when I'm happy. So I'll click stop recording and then add, and then I'll press tilde to minimize that panel. You can see we have two assets in our timeline now, and if we play them, it's going to be both of the performances that we just kind of drew available in our project with, again, no keyframes, no render time, and a pretty cool natural look. You might be thinking, like, what do I do with black and white particles in After Effects? And the cool thing is it works great with any kind of color correction effects, so you can stack on something like a CC toner and do some extreme changes with like highlights, midtones, and shadows here. Now when I play the animation, you're going to see have a kind of like different look, and it's all kind of reacting together in a cool way. As we build out this kind of like simulation suite in the emitter tool, there are going to be more features for color just built right in. But for right now, pretty fun, cool effect, and you could make this 3D, work with all kinds of interesting effects. So let's just go ahead and maximize this view, and we'll take a closer look at some other ways to make assets with the emitter. Before we dive too far in, up at the top here, I'm going to go ahead and click off this click lock, and you're going to see then we can kind of get just single clicks and almost a burst effect. So changing my filter over to the properties, I'll turn up my count here, and now when I click, I kind of have this nice little like smoke burst effect. That's all fun and good, but I kind of liked having the click lock on, so I'm going to go ahead and turn that back on, and we'll just get back to the good old particle trails. So what's really cool about this is you can push these particle counts very, very high with essentially no like downgrade to your processing speed or even like animation. And again, it's an image sequence, so it's going to be very easy to use. So you can do stuff where you like turn up your distance using like a slider and get like these huge bursts. You could go and change your distance variation down if you wanted more like uniform bursts like this. But I'll keep the distance variation up just in this demo because that keeps it kind of fun. You could do stuff by like adjusting your lifetime, for example, and having particles stick around a little bit longer in this animation, and really start to draw some cool, I guess I'm going to call them performances of an animation. Again, a ton of ideas we've got cooking, and really excited for this tool as it grows. You could change things like the scale up duration if you want a slower kind of introduction of these particles, etc. You could change your initial size maybe to even be larger and to end also larger. So you have kind of, maybe you want to use this as some kind of transition mat, or, again, it's an animation tool. So really whatever you want to use it for, you can probably find a way to use it. And then we also have stuff for properties like, or parameters, I guess you'd call them, like birth rate, if you wanted more of like less frequent kind of regular bursts. But overall, like, this tool is so much fun to play with. And yeah, we'll take a look at maybe like something with the timing properties, such as lifetime, and also this easing thing. So, we kind of had this startup effect here, and you can actually change it to like a bunch of different ease curves quickly in your animation. So we'll go ahead and turn our lifetime down, go back to our particles here, adjust that a little bit, and turn our initial size down. Take a look at what we're dealing with here, and we already have a kind of different flavor to the animation just by changing our animation curve and easing curves. You can check these out, and there's a ton of real quick ways to kind of, make different styles of animation pretty much for whatever you want. Yeah, this is just a super, super fun tool. Really happy with how it turned out, and I think you'll have a lot of fun using it. You can push this in a ton of crazy directions, and there's some cool stuff going. So you can go on over to this thing called a color burn, which is just that gradual kind of smoke change that you see happening as the particles play. So I'll just close this and actually just reopen the emitter so we can kind of refresh to that default setting, just because that was easy to work with. And if I turn off my color burn, you're going to see now we have a very randomized particles being emitted. And if you went on over to your color variation and turn this down all the way, you'll have all the same colors. So then you can go ahead, do stuff like turn off click lock, turn on your count more, and get like nice little accent bursts. You could go on over to your easing curves and, get a totally different flavor right away, and just really start exploring really like what this can do and how you could use it in your project. So basically, in a nutshell, this is the emitter tool. Like I said, it's an absolute ton of fun, and I think you'll really enjoy checking it out. And yeah, unfortunately, I guess we have other tools to look at. Let's move on and take a look at Snapshot. Since we have this beautiful animation playing, we might want to grab a quick, PNG of this. So I'll just go ahead and click capture, and now we have this stored. I could reveal it in my Finder or Explorer, and maybe use it for, again, I have no idea, use it for something, but it's pretty fun. I could delete it from here, capture it again if I was feeling like that delete was the wrong option, or I could even go up here and toggle the transparency mode and capture this again. Oh, there we go, for another kind of asset. Again, the snapshot thing is just like kind of version 1 of the next couple builds, and there's going to be a lot of other export options, and as well as like different media types. Again, just a nice little rounding out of this tool suite, but a lot more is coming to Snapshot. And finally, we'll take a look at Kinetic here, which is another pretty cool effect. If you've ever wanted to bind animation to something like velocity, now you can do that using Kinetic. So just quickly, I'm going to grab like a shapes tool, maybe go to the triangle, add this to my timeline. We'll go back to the tools here and work with Kinetic. So just for a real quick, easy visual change, we're going to go set a keyframe on color, go forward in time, and just adjust this to something very noticeable, maybe like red. I'll actually go and turn off the stroke here real quick. And now we have this nice red animation of the triangle. So, velocity is a property of speed. So an object to get speed probably has to be in some sort of motion. So we'll go ahead and get this cooking. I'm going to go ahead and run Kinetic here, and we'll just click this, and we're going to get a null that's going to be created that will be able to then set a velocity layer. Velocity is going to read the speed the layer is moving. Generally, that would be like a position property. So I'll just set this to itself. I'll set like the equilateral triangle as the actual animation trigger, and then going over to position, and just for a quick demo, we'll just quickly slide this over to the side and add some easing curves here. Now, as the object is moving faster, the color is going to change if you caught that in the middle, which is just a nice way to automate kind of like dynamic effects. And you can use this across, like effects, any kind of properties, and a bunch of really cool stuff. So if I go back up to that control layer for Kinetic, I'm going to go on down to the extra storage, and we'll actually turn up our multiplier here. So hopefully we'll get like a nice full change to that red color at its like max speed. Just kind of crank this up, and now we'll have a little bit more of a noticeable red move when this object is moving. So if I went on over to position and I added like some more keyframes, or the animation continued, this animation would re-trigger again as the object's moving at different speeds. So a quick way to kind of showcase this, I'll just throw dynamics on this layer, and we'll kind of increase the distance that it's moving. Oh, that actually went off the comp. We'll try and reset that. So we'll just kind of let this object, slide around on the screen, and hopefully it, winds up sometimes in our viewer. But you can see it's, red when it's moving. A little bit not red or gray when it's not moving. So, what's also nice about this is you could go on over to the kinetic trigger again and actually invert this animation if you wanted the opposite to be true. So maybe it's red mostly and gray then when it's not in motion. Let's test kinetic on just another setup here. So I'm going to go ahead and grab shapes. We'll add a triangle, or maybe even I'll add 2 triangles. How about that? One of them will be a rotation, and we'll just kind of, do some kind of quick little rotational thing. And maybe on this other triangle, I'll grab something with turbulent displace. I'll maybe change the evolution and amount. We'll press U on our keyboard, and then just go forward in time, and let's find some quick values. I'll do like 902. I'm just guessing random numbers, I'll be honest here. So amount I'll set to 0. So we'll grab all these keyframes, go back over to the kinetic tool, and just run this again. Right now, the trigger is for all of the keyframes, and we don't really have a velocity layer that we're triggering yet. So we could actually just use the controller. So I'll set it to the controller, and I will go and just animate our controller, kind of sliding it over to the side. We'll add some easing to this. And when we play this, you're going to see that, now we get our little animation just as the controller is moving. As this object was to move faster or slower, the animation is going to play back and forth, similar to like that kind of dynamic effect. I just wanted to show that, you can trigger any kind of animations or properties using the velocity, and the experiments can go pretty crazy if you're into that kind of thing. That's a quick overview of the new tools that just synced out in Motion version 4.0.5. I also want to take this time to talk about a couple of the things that got added to this update as well. Okay, so we're back on the home screen here. I just set up a quick little scene just so we can talk about some of the other stuff that was added. It's really nothing too fancy, but we'll dive right in. One of the cool new additions to the UI is the ability to be able to drag and drop, or reorder any of the tools that you have pinned to the home screen, including any palettes you have as well. On the easing or the colors, you can also go over to focus groups and reorder these groups just as easily as well. Modularity like this is hopefully coming to the whole UI in the next couple updates, but let us know what you think about this one, and we'll go from there, I guess. Another thing I want to take a quick look at before we dive deeper into what was added is on the shape screen. You can now, select fill or stroke if you had a preference for how the primitives are added to your timelines. You want a triangle that's filled, maybe you want a triangle that's stroke instead, and it would be just as easy to add. So that's a nice addition. I'll grab these 2 triangles and go back over to the focus screen here, and we'll just add the triangles to this focus group. So I'll click add. You're going to see the layer count goes up to 4. I'm going to click the color, and we'll just switch the label to red so you can kind of identify what layers are part of this group. So now when we hover over the focus groups, you're going to see we have these little mini functions here, and these just offer kind of quick changes to whatever you have selected. So you have these 2 groups selected. You can turn on or off the visibility just like this, and then you can see the little mini icon shows to indicate kind of what is currently happening on that group. I can click them off, and we have everything back. If I selected just one group, like the circle, I can focus right to the circle. Actually, sorry, I clicked the wrong button there. That was just focusing to nothing because there's nothing selected, but the circle group selected, I could go up to focus group, and there we go. We have identified the circle that was part of this group. I can refocus, and it's nice and intuitive. Another addition you can see at the bottom here is command click to invert the focus. If I click focus group and I can focus to the circle, if I refocus and focus to the group, by holding command, it's going to actually select everything else. So that's also true for focus to selected. So I can grab these 3 layers and focus to them, or I could have those 3 layers selected and click focus again, and I'm focused to everything that wasn't selected. So, just trying to improve some of the workflow with working with focus through these mini functions and also inverted focus. So next, similar to After Effects, where you can kind of scroll on your trackpad or with your mouse wheel, you can now also scroll in this header if you want to kind of navigate through the different screens just with a touch of your finger and a scroll of your mouse wheel or across your trackpad. So another quick little addition just for the UI. We're really trying to sweeten up everything as we go into 2023, and there's some cool stuff coming, like I said, in the next couple updates. Another new thing we added, if I go ahead and just delete this setup, and then we can go up here and just create a quick text layer. So I'm going to say sentence has some words here. I'll press enter for another new line, and I'll say sentence continues on a second line and then a third line. We have this text here. If we wanted to break this apart, we could go up into the search, go to text break, click line, and when we run this, it's actually going to break apart the lines independently to themselves, which is cool. From there, we can go ahead and just use the anchor point tool to fix everything. So just a new mode. It was requested in one of the comments from the last changelog video. So if you have some suggestions or things you want to see, we can't edit everything, but we love to hear what people think. So yeah, if you have new modes or tools you want to see, just drop a comment and we'll probably be able to integrate that in some future version. So yeah, we'll delete the text example and kind of continue this. I'll just add another quick shape layer here. So we'll add something, with a circle, and maybe we'll go on over and create a quick animation just with the position. Maybe it goes left to right, it goes down, and wow, it'll also go up, and then yeah, maybe return to its original position. So we have this cool animation happening, very engaging and exciting. I'll go and add some easing to this. We'll try to, add just a base curve and then kind of go through here and tweak or adjust the ease curves in some different ways. We'll go ahead and maybe preview this animation, and now we're able to preview this with some easing. So we added this little button up here, and it actually can pull the selected keyframe values. So, I have these 2 keyframes. I can just click this, and now I can see what the ease curve is. Or I could grab these ones and pull, and I can see what those eases were. This is just kind of a preview. There's going to be a whole easing screen coming in, I think, possibly the next update. It's hard to plan for sure, but very shortly. And this is just a little sneak at some of the functions that are going to be coming with that. So, all right, we talked about that. And what else do we have in here? So another cool little addition is you can also now scrub the timeline, of course, just with your mouse. Or if you look at the bottom, you can now use A or D to seek the timeline. So just on your keyboard, I'm pressing the keys A or D, and I'm using frame snap to just jump like 15 frames forward or backwards. I could adjust this to be like jump every 39 frames, or I could also scroll with my mouse to do those same jumps, or trackpad. So, just kind of this a couple different ways now to work with the timelines and frame snap together, kind of this fun way. So next we'll go and look up in the search bar here, and you can see if you haven't typed in anything in the search bar, you're going to be able to see the recent tools that were ran. So, I could go and grab the classic position property, could go into my search, type dynamics, and we'll just add that to our setup here. You can also randomize the seeds if you had a bunch of properties selected. And, now we have this kind of animation. If I cleared this and went back to search, you're going to see dynamics now shows in the recent tool runs. So you can kind of just quickly get back to the tools you might have used or previously searched in a much faster manner. And again, create just a beautiful animation of a triangle, or not even a triangle. What is this shape? Some kind of diamond path for a sphere. So very fun. And then the last thing that we actually added here, very easy. We have this shape. It's just this simple path. I can go to my color screen and toggle this to be on the strokes. And you can see, we have like the classic caps at the end of the stroke path. Now you can actually also click the just icon for stroke width to toggle between any of the different modes you might want for your caps. With this layer selected, you can go and make this massive. You could go and toggle to any of these different modes quite easily just by clicking the stroke icon. Now, in a quick nutshell, that is basically what's new and improved in Motion version 4.05. Pretty fun little build to get out, and I promise the update we have coming at the start of 2023, you're going to be very excited to see. So anyway, thanks so much for supporting Mount Mograph and the tools we make. Hope you enjoy the new release of Motion. Peace.